Lads, welcome back to Fusion YGO. It is your boy Christian, the Hovercard Man, back at you with some more Rescue Ace. And you know, we're about to do a little more than just a deck profile today, because with the release of Age of Overlord coming up, there is a lot that you guys are going to need to know about this deck in terms of how things changes, the functionality of it, and of course the format that we're approaching now that the ban list has been released. Lads, welcome back to Fusion YGO. It is your boy Christian, the Hovercard Man, coming back at you with some more Rescue Ace content, because you know, Age of Overlord is just around the corner here, and we've also just had a ban list, so now we can kind of see a little bit better of a preview of what the format will be once this set releases, and we can start to be a little more prepared for it going forward. Now, over the past couple of weekends, we've seen a lot of improvements in the meta. We've seen Unchained becoming one of the top decks of the format, easily tier 1, and then YCS Cancun Fluanderies decided to just take the top table and become the victor. It was very impressive, but nonetheless, there's a lot of things regarding Rescue Ace that are going to change come Age of Overlord, and of course the biggest of those changes is going to be the brand new Diabellestar Sinful Spoils package. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a quick rundown of the deck that I'm going to be playing once this set comes out, just kind of give you a brief overview of my thoughts and theory on the deck, and then we'll get into some comment tutorials so you guys can kind of understand how this deck is supposed to function with all of these new cards. So starting off, thanks to the new Diabellestar package, we are able to cut down on some names. We are playing double Rescue Ace Hydrant now instead of 3. I know I used to be all gung-ho about this being a necessary 3 of, but with the Diabellestar stuff, it's a little less necessary. Also, 2 copies of Rescue Ace Impulse. We don't really need these as much now because the deck is still much more consistent, but it's still fantastic to have as a good option regardless. Next up is 3 copies of Rescue Ace Airlifter. This is still a mandatory, easy 1-card starter. It automatically gets you into your emergency. It allows you to start playing right out the gate. 1 Rescue Ace Fire Engine. This guy is still just a fantastic extender and gives you the ability to really grind, which is amazing. Still only playing the 1 copy of Preventer. I'm sorry, people in the comments, please stop coming after me for 1 Preventer. If you want to play 2, that's totally fine. I just have had no issues with 1 Preventer. I'm sorry. Next up, 2 Rescue Ace Turbulence. Still mandatory to have this guy. Great for getting your turn 1 plays set up, as well as for the follow-up, just getting an extra beater on board is absolutely fantastic. And lastly, for the monsters of the Rescue Ace engine, we actually have 3 Heat of the Fire Channeler. You guys may have seen this in my last Rescue Ace profile. I'm still playing this because it's excellent consistency for the deck, and it actually allows us to access some really cool tools in the side deck that you'll see here shortly. Now for the Rescue Ace spells and traps, we are still playing our 3 copies of Emergency. There are arguments to put this down to 2 since you have a lot more of a consistent engine, but I still just like 3. It's nice to open it and see it. And of course, still on the 1 copy of Alert, just always a fantastic card. 1 copy of Rescue and 1 copy of Rescue Ace Headquarters. There is also a debate to still run this at 2, but I think with all of this going on right now, I think 1 is perfectly fine. Now for the traps, we have 1 Extinguish, 1 Reinforce, and 1 Contain, all pretty standard ratios. All these spells and traps can be searched off of your Turbulence, with the exception of HQ because it's a field spell. But really, as long as you got 1 of each, you're usually pretty set to go. A lot of people have been cutting Reinforce, but I just see it save me a lot of games, so it's hard for me to cut it. Now for the new Diabellestar Sinful Spoils package, it's actually not super huge, and that's what I love about it. We are playing 1 Diabellestar the Dark Witch. Next up is our 3 copies of the Sinful Spoils Hunter Fiend. This is add a Diabellestar monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, which is why you can play 1 and get away with it. It's kind of like the Nadir Ecclesia package. This can add from deck or graveyard, so you can just always be getting it back. So basically you're playing 4 copies of Diabellestar to get that consistency going, and then the main reason that you're playing Diabellestar is the original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye. This, you send one other face-up card you control to the graveyard to special summon 1 level 1 fire from your hand or deck. So basically you get Diabellestar on field by getting rid of a card. It is kind of a neg 1, but it's fine because it gets you into everything. So then you can set Snake Eye from deck, be able to flip Snake Eye, send the Diabellestar, and then summon a Rescue Ace Hydrant from deck, all without normal summoning. So then you can use Hydrant's effect to be able to search your Airlifter, which then you can normal summon to get your full combo. That is the biggest premise of it, but in the event that you do happen to open up the Snake Eye or you need something for a follow-up turn, we do also play 1 Sinful Spoils of Betrayal Sylvia. There are arguments to not play this well. I have seen people that are just playing Diabellestar as just like the starter engine and not really anything else. I like this card because it's just strong. You get to send a Diabellestar from your hand or face up field to the graveyard, then target one card on the field and negate its effects. So if you have just a bonus Diabellestar and you don't need to actually send it to the graveyard off of your Snake Eye, you can just use this for free to get an extra negate, and it targets a face up card on the field to negate its effects, much like the level 9 Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss that can negate a card. So you can still negate spells and traps with this, like Lightning Storm and Evenly Match. It's just extra protection for you, and I just love it. Now for the non-engine, we are still playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Not the best hand trap in the game, but it's generic. It hits a lot of different things, and it combos well with our Heat of the Fire Channeler, just in case we don't have full combo, but we open this and Ash, that becomes full combo. We are also playing 2 Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill. I just see this as being a decent card. It really helps out a lot in time, being an extra effect negation on summon. It kind of has pros and cons compared to something like Effect Veiler or Infinite Impermanence. I just don't like Impermanence in this deck because you can end up with a monster on your field turn 1. So if you don't time your Impermanence and your other effects just right, it kind of clashes with each other and becomes a little rough. And of course, Effect Veiler is only during your opponent's turn. The big advantage to Effect Veiler over Ghost Mourner is that Veiler is just during your opponent's main phase. It doesn't have to be on an opponent's monster's special summon, which is the other downside to Ghost Mourner. Ghost Mourner cannot do anything against Flu, but if you're in that matchup, you just side it out games 2 and 3 and you're usually good to go. I just like Ghost Mourner. I think it's a solid card. You can play Veiler or Imperm in this spot if you wanted. Both are perfectly fine. Also playing 2 Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. This is another one that just kind of encompasses several different things within the format. Next up, 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talents. If I could afford it, this would be Thrust. This would be 2 copies of Thrust and 1 Talents, but unfortunately Thrust has just gotten so expensive, so I like the more budget option, and Talents is just always a solid card no matter what part of the game you're in, either being able to draw 2, rip a card out of your opponent's hands, or steal an opponent's monster. All fantastic effects. This card just does a lot to swing the tide of games. And then we're also playing 3 copies of Book of Moon because this may not be the best offensive tool in the format anymore now that Rise Heart is banned. There are still situations where this does become a great offensive card against certain matchups, but it's also a really good defensive card because we don't really care about our extra deck that much, so we don't necessarily need to have our monsters face up to do what we need to do. The only time that we care is as long as we have a face up Rescue Ace monster to be able to activate our traps. That's the only part that we care about, but Book of Moon can help protect us from things like Imperm and Veiler. In the case that we have to normal summon a Hydrant and then activate its effect, they can chain Imperm, we can chain Book of Moon, protect it. Same thing with the Turbulence. Even if they negate those monsters on summon, we can still activate their effect and then chain Book of Moon, and then that effect will still resolve. So Book of Moon just does a lot for this deck. Even if it's not an offensive tool, it's a very good defensive tool. Now onto the extra deck. I didn't really change this much from my last list. The only change that I made was the SP Little Knight because this also comes out in Age of Overlord, and this card is just going to be absolutely insane. There are arguments to make that you could play the anti-Zeus in this deck as well. If you want to switch stuff around for that, that's completely fine. I'm just still kind of testing with the card myself to see if it's really something that I would like to play or not, but it is a cool tech nonetheless. But we'll just go through these cards very quickly so you guys can get a brief idea. We're playing 1 Relinquished Anima, 1 Salamangreat Almirage, and 1 Linkuriboh. These are all for the Rescue Ace Hydrant. Whether you have to normal summon it, you can go into an Almirage. If you get it on field and you're going second, you can make an Anima to help break boards, or you can just make Linkuriboh if you just need to get it into the graveyard to like summon a Preventer or get the extra body engraved for a Turbulence. Just a great card. 1 IP Masquerena. This is one of the deck's biggest end board pieces. In all honesty, you end on this and a couple Rescue Ace monsters, and usually you're getting about 4 to 5 disruptions on a good hand, 2 to 3 on a pretty rough one. But IP is still a great card and it pairs really well with the brand new SP Little Knight. If you guys haven't seen this card's effect yet, I highly recommend you go look it up. It's just an insane card. There's a lot to go over with it though and its implications, so I'm not going to talk about it too much here. 1 Barricade Board Blocker. This is the big reason that I play 1 field spell. This just allows me to be able to recycle it, protect it, do whatever I need to keep that field spell in rotation should I ever need to go into the grind game. Speaking of grind games, we are playing the 1 Salamangreat Sunlight Wool still because this card is just fantastic, helps us recur a lot of resources. There's quite a few combos you can use with Preventer to be able to refill your hand and still have everything you need on field to be able to disrupt your opponent. Absolutely fantastic card. 1 Heat of the Fire Charmer Ablaze. There's a couple other fire decks in the format right now. It's not super popular, but Ash is still a pretty common hand trap, so you can use this to help Link climb up, or you can even use it in some instances to be able to crash into one of your opponent's monsters to add a fire monster from your deck to your hand to be able to keep playing. I have done that a couple of times, admittedly, and it's actually pretty nice. 1 Nightmare Phoenix because a fire monster that can pop back row absolutely fantastic. It's everything this deck needs. You can still use it under your Hida, which is just absolutely incredible. One Nightmare Unicorn is an extra option for the IP Masquerena if you have something you really want to get out of your hand and you want to make sure that card gets spun back to your opponent's deck. Still a really strong card, or you can even use it during your turn to help break your opponent's board while you're Ling climbing up into like an access code to be able to try to push for a game, which is just, I mean, it's a no-brainer to have Unicorn and Access go together. They go hand in hand. Last for the links is one Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. I still firmly believe in having this card, just being an extra deck kaiju on demand that's also a dark ruler when it hits the field and can negate a graveyard summon. It's just all fantastic. Now for the fusions, we are still playing one Mud Dragon of the Swamp, one Garura Wings of Resonant Life, and one Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. So now for the side deck, we are playing two Korikara Div Incarnate. I understand this is out of a lot of people's budget right now, which is completely fair. It's a very expensive card. It should hopefully be getting a reprint here soon. We're praying in the legendary collection or whatever it is, the reprint set. I'm hoping this gets a printing in there. If not, that would be very sad, and hopefully we get reprinted early next year, but I'm not sure. So if you can't afford this card for now, Nibiru is a good option. I just like this because it is searchable off of our Hida the Fire Channeler, which is great. Next up here, we also playing one Lava Golem and one Dogoran. Same reason, searchable off of Hida the Fire Channeler. Fire actually has a surprising amount of good tech cards in it, which is just fantastic. And these both help deal with flu matchups, Unchained matchups, really anything you need. It just allows you to tribute off your opponent's monsters for free, and they're searchable through Hida, which is fantastic. Lastly, for the monsters here, we have one Rescue Ace Fire Attacker because there are some matchups where this can come in clutch. It's just not every deck is gonna allow you to get this off consistently, so you just kind of got to pick and choose when you need it. I don't always want to see it, so just having it at one in the side deck seems perfectly fine to me. Next up, one Harpy's Feather Duster because we hate back row, 3 Cosmic Cyclone because we hate back row, 3 Super Poly because we hate monster fields that we just can't deal with otherwise. This allows us to go second and be able to push through boards while setting up our own. Absolutely fantastic card, especially if we can use it to be able to summon a Mud Dragon. It is just insane. Allowing us to be able to protect stuff like our Turbulence and our Hydrant is just incredible. And of course, 3 Evenly Matched because it is just a staple card at breaking boards, and I absolutely love the darn thing. So anyways, lads, that's all I got for this deck profile. So let's go ahead and I've kind of been giving you guys the theory as I've been going through the deck profile. So let's just do a quick test hand and show you how this deck performs. Okay, so this is a hand where we actually opened up the Diabellestar, which is rare, but we also have the Sinful Spoils that searches it, so you can really just pretend that you end up discarding one of these other cards, which is totally fine. Instead of discarding the Sinful Spoils, I'm just going to discard one of these other ones. We'll say that we discarded probably Hida in this case, since we can get full combo here. So then we'll be able to use our Diabellestar to set our Snake Eye right here. And then now we will go ahead and activate our Snake Eye, getting rid of the Diabellestar to be able to summon our Hydrant right here. Okay, and then since we have the Fire Engine, we might as well just summon it for free because why not? But you can see where this gets into full combo here because we have not yet normal summoned, so we can go ahead and Hydrant to be able to add our Airlifter to our hand, which we can then freely just normal summon, add our Emergency here, and then that's basically all she wrote. I'll go through the combo very quickly just so you can see, because it is a little bit different than the main line since you already have Hydrant on field and you've already used his search, but you are able to get everything you need here still, because instead of summoning the Hydrant off of the Emergency, now you just get to summon the Turbulence, tribute off the Airlifter, and then go Turbulence to be able to set your 4 back row, including your Alert, which can then search you your Preventer. Now, since we opened the Extinguish in hand, we're just cracked like that, we can also be able to set a Rescue just for bonus follow-up, which is fantastic. So we'll just go ahead and smack out our Alert really quick to be able to search ourselves that Preventer. Oops, oh, I misclicked, but that was supposed to be Preventer. But you can see where we still get to everything there that we need, and it doesn't really change anything at all. You're just changing up the sequencing. So instead of summoning the Hydrant off of the Emergency, you now get to summon Turbulence off of it, and then use Alert to search your Preventer and still get everything you need. So the combo's not really any different. You just get more consistency in finding it. So that is going to be it for this video today, guys. I hope this helped you. I wanted to go a little more in depth with this deck because I know I've just been doing a lot of surface level stuff with Rescue Ace, and I wanted to kind of give you guys that are maybe not familiar with the deck or haven't been spending too much time with it a little bit more of insight onto how the deck functions and what it could look like post Age of Overlord. Of course, I have not topped a YCS. I am not one of the top players, so a lot of these better deck builders could end up changing certain ratios around and making it perform a little bit more optimally. But if you want a place to start, I feel like this is a pretty solid one. This deck can perform very well, especially in the right hands. It does take a little bit of time to learn all the different interactions, the way the deck functions, but it's a really good time, and I definitely encourage you to try it out, at least on an online simulator, just to see if you enjoy it and just have fun. So that's all I got for you today, lads. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope you liked it. This is a little bit of a different type of content for me, so let me know down in the comments if you want to see more videos like this, or if you like to stick to the normal just deck profiles and combo tutorials all separate. Either way, guys, love y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, remember, good fun. Have luck.